Hello all, I just wanted to take a few minutes to talk about something that I heard about on Disabled Vet's Perspective on his channel. And I thought he mentioned it and I wanted to dig into it a little bit more. So let's look at this article from the Navy Times by the Associated Press. Midshipmen finally get a Satanic Temple room. All right, the U.S. Naval Academy is providing a room on campus for midshipmen interested in the Satanic Temple to discuss the group. Commander Alana Garris, an Academy spokeswoman, said Thursday the group has been provided a space to meet after a request was made by midshipmen. An internal email was sent October 8th to all midshipmen to announce the start of Satanic services. However, Garris says the email was sent without approval of the Naval Academy's command chaplain as required. Garris says the Academy's command religious program facilitates the exercise of diverse beliefs. The Satanic Temple calls itself a non-theistic organization that aims to encourage benevolence and empathy among all people. The organization also says it rejects tyrannical authority and advocates for common sense and justice. Okay, so there are a lot of, coming down here, there's a lot of knee-jerk reactions to this and all this, and I have my own kind of knee-jerk reaction to this. So I spent some time reading through all of these comments, okay, and there's this, the discussion going back and forth between those who are completely appalled by the idea of this and those who either are appalled by or kind of laugh at the fact that, the one side is appalled. So basically, so one of the things that these comments were covered is the idea that the Satanic Temple, this group, is not actually about really a belief in Satan, okay? It's really that it's a politically motivated, like an activism group, okay? And so let me show a couple of other pieces. Okay, there is a documentary out called Hail Satan. I did not watch it. I didn't take the time to watch it for a couple reasons. It lists that it has graphic nudity, and that's not really something that I will watch we'll watch, I guess. But I read this review, so let me kind of come back here and read this review with you. Penny Lane's Hail Satan may look like a mockumentary, but it's not. It's a fascinating documentary about ragtag political activists making fundamentally serious mockery at a high level of savvy. It is about jujitsu as performing art, turning an opponent's outrage to one's advantage, about deadpan as dramatic technique, and about the damnedest strategy you could imagine. Summoning up Satan as a champion of religious freedom. The film follows a group of provocateurs calling themselves the Satanic Temple. As trigger words go, Satan is irresistible, so protesters turn out on cue, and TV crews flock to the scene like bears to a honeypot. The Satanists show up in black robes with straight faces and Halloween horns on their heads. They're not the most polished performers. By way of explaining the movement, their leader, Lucien Greaves, says on camera it's called Satanism because there's nothing else to call it. Yet they know what they want: separation of church and state. and how to get it. In one notably successful case that's revisited here, they demand the removal of a Ten Commandments monument at the Oklahoma State House, or, failing that, the installation of a statue of the winged and goat-headed Baphomet alongside it. Oklahoma's Supreme Court rules the Ten Commandments monument unconstitutional, and it is duly removed, thus removing the Baphomet threat. Okay, so actually, this is I will read this part. It seems like it doesn't kind of matter, but it goes to a bigger question. So it says, as documentation of an elusive subculture, Hail Satan is wanting. Where does the group get the money to strike a Baphomet statue in expensive bronze, let alone pay its legal bills, or maintain its national headquarters in a nice frame house in Salem, Massachusetts? The film doesn't stop to inquire. There's little sense of the main players' backgrounds. Lucien Greaves is an alias for Douglas Mesner, someone claims, but Mr. Greaves says that's not his real name either. I have double-layered pseudonyms. For a while, the movie is sustained by entertainment value. Okay, so I'm going to skip a little bit of this. I do think, though, that is a good question. It's always good to know where the money's coming from, right? Okay. Basically, the Satanic Temple's vocabulary may be outlandish in keeping with our clamorous times, but its members keep stressing that their Satan stands for dissent rather than evil, and that their purpose becomes clear. As puckish constitutionalists, they're insisting that this is a secular nation, not a Christian one, as some would have it, and that religious freedom is inextricably intertwined with religious pluralism. Bringing Baphomet into the fray isn't diabolical. It's meant to make a point by getting people's goat. Okay, I also, initially actually went straight to the Satanic Temple's website. So here are their 7 fundamental, so they are politically aware, civic-minded Satanists, and allies in the the Satanic Temple have publicly opposed, and so they give you some ideas of what I guess work they have done. I love all the fun and fancy ways to say abortion. But anyway, so there are 7 fundamental tenets. Sorry. One should strive to act with compassion and empathy toward all creatures in accordance with reason. Okay, that makes sense. The struggle for justice is an ongoing and necessary pursuit that should prevail over laws and institutions. Okay, so on the surface, that might sound good, right? Justice. But you really have to question who determines what that justice is. Because if you're going to go above and beyond laws and institutions, that's the question. Okay, one's body is inviolable, subject to one's own will alone. Okay. The freedoms of others should be respected, including the freedom to offend. Okay. To willfully and unjustly encroach upon the freedoms of another is to forego one's own. Beliefs should conform to one's best scientific understanding of the world. one should take care never to distort scientific facts to fit one's beliefs. Okay, so this one's an interesting one too. Whereas I absolutely agree. We should not distort scientific facts to fit one's beliefs. However, the world of science is actually built at this point on distorting scientific facts to fit one's beliefs. It's not based on empirical science. So, okay, and they are not saying what they do believe is science and what they don't. So I won't keep going on that. But beliefs should conform to one's best scientific understanding of the world. Well, that's an interesting thing because the reality is we know, and in fact, they follow it by saying people are fallible. If one makes a mistake, one should. Okay, so they agree. People, aren't perfect. And we've seen science and our understanding of science and of our world change throughout the centuries, and sometimes decade to decade. So I think we have to be very careful in saying beliefs should conform to one's best scientific understanding of the world, because the reality is we don't have the ultimate knowledge, and therefore you're saying that my beliefs are going to flap in the wind based on what our current understanding of the world is. And I don't agree with that. Okay, if one makes a mistake, one should do one's best to rectify it and resolve any harm that might have been caused. Okay, I appreciate that. Every tenet is a guiding principle designed to inspire nobility in action and thought. Interesting. Okay, nobility. The spirit of compassion, wisdom, and justice should always prevail over the written or spoken word. Okay, so here's the thing. All of those things, nobility, compassion, wisdom, justice, resolving harm that you might have done, might have caused someone. All of these things are they're opposite of what Satan actually stands for. Okay, so remembering too, back, on this review, how they talk about our Satan stands for dissent rather than evil. Okay, well, keep that in mind. Okay, so I'm gonna go down here. Okay, their invocation, and I'm not going to read all of this. I did read it, but I'm not gonna read it because I really don't want to verbalize vocalize their invocation. But what are they saying? Let us embrace the Luciferian impulse to eat of the tree of knowledge and dissipate our blissful and comforting delusions of old. Okay. Actually, I'm going to leave that alone. I will just come down to the fact at the end. They say, "Hail Satan." Okay. So, in reading through the comments, from people who claim to be part of this group or who claim an affiliation with Satanism or whatever, they're talking about the fact that the Satanic Temple, that it's not actually a religious group. They're more of a politically based group, political activists. That they are, they don't really, or that their Satan is about dissent and not evil. But I guess ultimately I come down to the fact that it's a matter of rewriting the definitions of words. Satan is kind of a known factor. You can't say, oh, well, no, our Satan is something different. And so even if you're saying you're not trying to promote evil, the reality is that they are promoting by saying things like "Hail Satan," which I watched some other things as well. They come out and they say that by wearing the the Baphomet kind of horns, by trying to get Baphomet statues up. I mean, granted, okay, fine, if they're doing that just because they're trying to get the Ten Commandments taken down, and they know that they'll be successful if they threaten, putting, statues of Baphomet up. But the point is that even at the base of this, if they're saying that if they truly are just a political or an activism group, then they are still inadvertently promoting Satan, and they really are by using the imagery, by using the name, by um, so they may say that their Satan isn't about evil, that that's not what they're about, but they're still promoting it, um, by choosing that. So I don't know, just my two cents. Um, and yeah, so they talk here about what they believe or what they don't believe. Um, so it's interesting too because um, they changed the idea of religion as well, the definition of religion as well. So, and that's what they're doing with the Naval Academy is using the fact that if the Navy said no, they couldn't have this room, then they could go after them for religious freedoms or just playing favorites, right? Whatever that is in legal terms. So anyway, I don't know. That's my 2 cents. I think it's a messed up way to go about things. I hate that the Navy was in the position to have to counter this, but I also understand that this group has found a way um, to manipulate their way into what they want. So anyway, that's it. I thank you, and I will see you later. Bye bye.